Hi guys, good evening, and welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I'll be discussing what I thought of the latest and very, very good installment of my favorite horror movie. Well, not my favorite horror movie franchise, but the latest sequel to my all-time favorite horror movie, Scream, sharing in the exact same title as the original Scream. It came out starting tonight, officially drops tomorrow, but there were advanced screenings tonight. Me and my friend just came from one. We both liked it a lot, and I wanted to share my thoughts and feelings with you guys. So before I get into my film review and whatnot, please be warned, this is a spoiler, and I mean spoiler-filled film review. If you plan to watch Scream this weekend and you haven't seen it yet, and you've been good at avoiding spoilers, do not keep watching or listening to this video, as I will be discussing spoilers. You have been warned. That being said, let's dive right back into it. First and foremost, well done to everybody involved, old cast and new. I think the directors, of course, I can't remember their names, but the same two guys who did the excellent horror movie Ready or Not did a fantastic job with this. Wes Craven would be so proud. Oh, R.I.P. Wes Craven, too. Wes Craven. I loved how then they're having the little party at the old Mocker house. They say for Wes, referring to the dead son of the dead sheriff. But really, this movie is so meta where it's like, they're really saying to Wes Craven. So thank you, Wes Craven. But, I really enjoyed it. I guess, I was happy with what we got. I felt like our returning legacy cast members got adequate screen time and some pretty great moments. There's some funny lines. It was a good mixture of like humor and horror, I felt like. And we got some excellent, memorable, gory kills at the hands of the awesome and scary Ghostface. Roger L. Jackson did a phenomenal job with the voice performance, like he always does with this character. No matter how good or bad a Scream movie is, the Ghostface, at least the voice in my opinion, is always fantastic. So well done to him. I really loved in that opening scene, too, how he kind of switches to a more friendly tone, pretending his name was Charlie or whatever, and he was really just baiting that poor girl right before attacking her. I gotta say, the thing that I really liked about it would have to be, like just how nostalgic it felt, in terms of like being so very similar to the original film. I know I've criticized other movies for being too similar to their predecessors, but this one, I felt like it was nostalgic enough without being too in your face about it. But speaking of being too in your face, I love the commentary they were making about toxic fandom. And let's be honest, that doesn't just apply to Scream or horror. You could find toxic fandom in any franchise, animated, live action, genre, whatever. It's there. The commentary and they were making in this movie was so meta. It almost felt a bit too obvious at points, or a bit too in your face. But to me, it got to that point without feeling like it was completely in your face. And, they were able to take it back a bit, like scale it back a bit, and let the audience say for themselves, okay, we get what you're saying. You're right. You make some points. You're right. You're not right. It really depends on the audience member, I guess. I was immediately suspicious of the black-haired chick, who did indeed turn out to be one of the two killers, mostly because that actress was one of the home invaders in the excellent film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And much like in that movie, her character meets a violent, memorable, gruesome death when she is not only somewhat burned alive, but then is finished off either by a flamethrower, or in this movie, it was a gun shot by Tara. But I was immediately suspicious because that actress played a bad guy in that film. I thought, if she's not one of the two killers in this movie, she's a damn good suspect. And sure enough, she turned out to be one of the two killers. Everybody else I was pretty suspicious of, except the douchebag who was killed right away in the beginning. I knew it'd be too obvious if it were him, so I knew he was a goner. Everybody else who died, I wasn't too surprised that they died, except for the fact, like, well, there goes that theory that they're the killer. I was pretty surprised to see Dewey go, but I guess, the film was all about making commentary about addressing toxic fandom and the never-ending criticisms and complaints people throw at movies in general. And one of the things that people want to see is different things or changes. And I guess one of the changes is killing a legacy member. And I guess it was going to be Dewey. I did love how he had a state of mind to stop the elevator door from closing, saying, wait a second, you got to get him in the head. And I knew he was going to go back, and I thought, well, maybe the twist will be they'll kill one of the killers, and the rest of the movie they got to figure out who the second killer was. But unfortunately, the killer was, of course, wearing a bulletproof vest like I knew they would be. And unfortunately, brutally murdered Dewey. But it was a pretty gruesome and pretty kind of awesome death, both with like a knife in the front and the back, and then like pulling them up at the same time. Ouch and ick and awesome. And even with that sinister voice, it's an honor, creepy. I guess the one thing I would have preferred, I could understand the motivation of the two crazies in this movie, but I would have preferred a simpler motivation for why they went on this new killing spree. I thought another twist we were going to see was that most of these kids were either the nephews or niece or the children of the original cast members. I thought a twist would be one of these two killers, if not both of them, would have been related to both Casey and Steve, the two victims in the opening scene of the first movie, Drew Barrymore's character and the guy who played her ill-fated boyfriend. I thought, they murdered my family members and now I'm going to murder yours. I thought, okay, well, that would have made a lot more sense than trying to reboot the franchise or reboot the Stab franchise. But you know what? Lunatics don't really need a whole lot of reasons to kill people because they're lunatics, especially those two. I was kind of hoping the boyfriend wouldn't be one of the two killers. Up until it was revealed he and the other girl were, I really thought, oh, well, what if Tara is one of the killers and this has been a huge elaborate ploy the whole time? Or what if it's Sam who's one of the killers? Or my buddy quickly threw up his hands like this, indicating he thought there were three killers. What if there were going to be three? But wasn't the case. But you know what? This movie had some predictable beats and moments, but it didn't take away from how entertaining and how good I thought it was. I still walked out of the theater feeling satisfied and entertained and happy and content with what we did see and what we did get. And that's how I currently feel about it. So I enjoyed this movie. I didn't love it. I'm not going to gush over it like I've gushed over other films, but I enjoyed it very much and thought it was very much a very worthy, awesome follow-up to my personal favorite, Scream. So well done to everybody involved. I also loved how the movie was extra meta by even having the characters say out loud, like when Sam says to her boyfriend, early in the film before we realize he's one of the two ghost faces, that she says to him, this is the part in the movie when the people watching the movie tell the characters to leave or get the hell out. And I'm telling you, get the hell out of here. And then up until they show up to the Mocker house, their plan of leaving Woodsboro was pretty solid, but I knew there had to be a reason why they couldn't leave right away. And that's what it was. It was just a ploy to get them all there. So I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys all did too. Was not expecting. I was a little worried at first they were going to overuse the ghost of Billy Loomis, but he showed up just enough times where it didn't feel like an overuse. And I got to say, I kind of loved how he gave his little nod of approval or saying, yeah, go for it, to Sam right before she stabbed her ex-boyfriend through the mouth like that. And the two villains dying in this film, it was a full house, got the best reactions from the audience. We clapped when that one chick burned, and when we clapped when Sam stabbed Richie through the cheeks like that. So the audience responded well to the right moments and the right time. So it was a good movie-going experience. And overall, just a good movie, I thought. Nothing spectacular or mind-blowing, but still pretty damn good. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too. What did you think of it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. Oh, one more thing before I forget. I loved when they reintroduced Sydney, that for once, finally in this franchise, in a sequel, Sydney has a solid grip on her life, and she sounds like she's married to a great guy and has two cute little girls. So it sounds like she is living. I love that when they reintroduce Sydney, she's doing quite well for herself, and she has a pretty stable family life in her private life, and she's able to come back, be a badass before going back to her family, and I really loved that. So Okay, now I'm done talking. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this movie as much as I did. What did you think of it? Would love to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. Scream is now playing in theaters, and it's a fun one. If you're a horror fan or a Scream fan, I think you're going to like it. And of course, until next time, what's your favorite scary movie?